Welcome, witches.
I'm Candi.
And I'm Jen.
And we're the Cornfield Coven. So today, we're jumping in with quite a crazy lady. I don't want to say crazy because that gives a bad name to crazy.
That's saying something.
She's brutal. She should have never been allowed to have children, and she should have never been. Anyways, she should just never. So we're talking about Gertrude I'm going to brutally kill her name, but she was born Gertrude Baniszewski, Baniszewski. She was born in September of 1928. She was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, to Hugh Marcus von Falsen Sr. Sounds like a Von Trapp or something from The Sound of Music. But, and Molly Myrtle.
That sounds like a Harry Potter character.
I was just going to say, but I think...
Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
Moaning Myrtle.
We had another story, or was that something I was researching? It's all coming together. But anyways, with Myrtle. But Gertrude was the third of 6 children. They were a regular working class family. It says she was close to her father and not so much to her mom. So this might explain some of the crazy down the road. On October 5th, 1939, when Gertrude was 11, she witnessed her dad, who was 50 at the time, die from a sudden heart attack.
Oh.
6 years later, she dropped out of high school. It affected her. She went off the rail. But anyways, she dropped out of high school at the age of 16, and she married a gentleman 2 years older than her, so he was 18. John Stephen Baniszewski. It's the Suski guy.
John B.
Oh,
no. We don't want to ruin Outer Banks.
Yeah. He was originally from Youngsville, Pennsylvania. They ended up having 4 children together. Paula, Stephanie, John, and Marie. FYI. Remember Stephanie.
So, 3 girls, 1 boy.
3 girls, 1 boy.
Okay.
Gertrude's husband, John, later becomes a police officer. Sadly, Gertrude and John had a toxic household. It was a toxic marriage. John had a violent temper and would beat Gertrude in front of the children. After 10
Dick.
Yeah. But again, it's a dirty police officer. It's like, After 10 years of marriage, Gertrude took the kids and got out and divorced John.
Good
Smart.
for her. That's hard to do. That's
yes.
hard to do. Especially if he's a police officer.
A police officer.
I can't imagine the fear.
She probably couldn't report him. Or, again, fear of reporting him.
Also, what decade is this?
This is...
50s?
1942?
Okay, so
the 40s, yeah.
Not a thing.
No.
He's beating me. Yeah, that's fine.
But she
He's allowed
also
to.
did not work. So he was their income. So to leave, she had to have something. So she left John, divorced him, and quickly got married again to a man named Edward Guthrie. This marriage only lasted 3 months before the couple split and divorced. So obviously she jumped to something to...
Like a safety net. Like a rebound.
Yeah. Gertrude goes back to her first husband, John, the police officer who beats her, and remarries him. Yep. The one who beat her. And why would she do that?
It's not great, but what options did she have in the 1940s?
Exactly.
That's rough.
So when they got remarried, Gertrude and John had 2 more children. Why not bring more children? Fix everything. Oh, I hate it when people do that. Anyways, together, they had 2 more kids, Shirley and James. Then the couple divorced for a second time in 1963. Weeks after her and John's divorce, Gertrude started dating a young 22-year-old.
Okay, how old's Gertrude at this point?
Gertrude, I believe, is in her early 40s, like late 30s, early 40s. He was a welder, and his name was Dennis Lee Wright. Gertrude was about 16 years older than him, I believe it was. She was living her cougar era here. Dennis and Gertrude ended up getting pregnant. Because why not? It seems to be her motive.
Whew.
And having a child together. A son named Dennis Lee Wright Jr. Shortly after the birth of their son in May 1964, Dennis Sr. abandoned Gertrude and their baby. So he waited the whole 9 months. She had the baby.
And then he's like,
yeah, peace out. Yeah. So Gertrude filed for a paternity test and paternity rights and wanted him to help support this child. She did win, but he hardly seldom contributed to the care of their son and never sent any money, so nothing changed. So by the age of, so she's 37, so yeah. So by the age of 37, Gertrude was alone with 7 children.
That does
and
not
divorced
sound like a good time.
3 times. She was not feeling too good about herself and where she was in life. She was about 5'6", 100 pounds. She smoked a lot and had bad asthma. And she heavily relied on child support from John to pay her bills and take care of the kids. Her kids, Paula was 17, Stephanie was 15, John was 12, Marie was 11, Shirley was 10, James was 8, and Dennis Jr. was 1.
Holy moly.
Whew. Gertrude was described as a haggard, underweight, asthmatic chain smoker. She
had a lot going on.
Suffering from clinical depression due to the stress of 3 failed marriages.
Did she marry David Wright?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say, she married John and divorced him, and then she married that other guy and divorced him, and then she
back to
John. So that's how we get 3, because she was never married to
But do you wonder if she ever had postpartum depression? And that could have, because being depressed, and then having all those babies, and then, and if she wasn't,
it changes, your body.
So she did some odd jobs to help pay the bills. So we're going to pause on Gertrude, and we're going to move to young Sylvia Likens. She's
not one of the kids, right?
She is not one of the kids.
Yeah. I was told to remember Stephanie. That's what's in my brain.
Stephanie and Sylvia become friends.
Oh, okay.
In school. And Stephanie is who brings her into the home.
Okay.
Sylvia is our young victim of this story.
Okay.
I really feel for Sylvia. It's horrible, but okay. So we move into Sylvia. Another major part of this story, but let's get a backstory on her first. Sylvia Marie Likens was born January 3rd, 1949, and she was the third of 5 children born to Lester and his wife Elizabeth Liken. They were considered a lower class family and struggled to make money. They had 5 children: Daniel, Diana, Sylvia, and Benny and Jenny. Now, Sylvia was in the middle. Okay. Between 2 sets of fraternal twins. Oh. So Diana and Daniel were twins, and Benny and Jenny were twins.
She's the only one without a matching name. She got the prettiest one. It's okay.
Yeah. And then after Sylvia, there was Benny and Jenny, who were 1 year younger than her. Jenny Liken, her youngest sister, suffered from polio.
Oh.
Causing one of her legs to be weaker than the other. She had a notable limp and had to wear a steel brace on one leg. Sylvia was very protective of Jenny and would look out for her. As a teenager, Sylvia would work odd jobs and help at places to make money to bring back to her parents to contribute. They would sell candy bars, beer throughout the summer, and soda at carnival stands around Indiana, moving frequently and regularly, experiencing financial difficulties. Lester and Elizabeth's marriage was also unstable. They preferred to keep Sylvia and Jenny in one location out of concern for their safety and education. As a result, the girls usually stayed with their grandmother. Sylvia babysat, ran errands, and was very helpful. Often described as a friendly, confident, and lively girl with long, wavy, light brown hair extending below her shoulders, and was called Cookie by her friends. Everyone kind of described her. She was very pretty.
Oh, and she's helpful, and, I feel bad for her family. Like, her parents are trying to do their best. They know they're not the most stable environment, so they try and...
So, Sylvia's parents were carnies, carnival workers.
Okay.
So they did move around a lot. And I do give major credit to her parents for putting it out there that they need an education. They want better for them. So that's why they stayed with Grandma. Now, Diana, their older sister, she, I believe, was 5 or 6 years older than them. So she was, at this time, excuse me.
Almost like out of the house.
Out of the house, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, in 1965, Sylvia and Jenny were staying with their parents in Indianapolis. On July 3rd, Sylvia's mom got arrested for shoplifting, and they ended up putting her in jail. And this ended up causing stress to the Lycan family, mainly because they couldn't work, or she couldn't work, and they needed the money. They needed all hands on deck. They couldn't figure out why she would be so careless. Like, they've always been following the line, like...
Right. What line of, like, desperation did she cross to make her feel like she had to do that?
So, why was she so careless? This put the dad in a very tight place. He couldn't take care of all of the kids. So he tried finding boarding for the 2 girls so that the oldest boys and dad could go back on the carnival circuit. Now, mind you, Diana, the older sister, was already out. The oldest Lycan daughter, Diana, was married and not going out with the carnival, and she was living her own life, as the 2 boys would go with their dad. He was looking for a boarding house in Indiana for a safe place to stay. In school, Sylvia meets Gertrude's daughter, Stephanie, and they become friends. And Sylvia starts having sleepovers at Gertrude and Stephanie's house. When Lester, Sylvia's dad, would go over to pick her up, Lester got to somewhat know Gertrude, and he would talk to her about the family's dilemma and asking if she knew of anywhere. Gertrude was like, why don't they just stay here? Why doesn't Jenny and Sylvia just stay here? You can just pay me $20 a week. And Lester thought this was a great idea. The girls got along. He knew Gertrude. She seemed nice, so why not?
Oh, it really feels like I know bad shit's coming.
Yeah.
Like, I know, but he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
I feel real bad that he doesn't know. Because I understand his predicament, and, like...
He's being very trusting.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Sylvia didn't have to change... And this is great, because Sylvia and Jenny didn't have to change schools, to which Lester liked that. They were still in their comfort. People also thought Gertrude had a little crush on Lester. So... we think that's kind of why she did it, too. It's like, your wife's away. I have no husband.
Yeah. Okay.
So, both Sylvia and Jenny would be staying with Gertrude and her 7 children. So that's 9 kids in one house.
Does she, is it a house? Is she renting? Is she boarding? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't say.
Okay. I'm just interested.
Yeah, I would go nuts. It does have a basement. That's what I'm thinking. Like, girls are in one room, boys are in another.
Yeah.
So I would go nuts. But this is the Midwest in the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad is the youngest of 9. My mom's the oldest of 5. So large families were quite the norm.
Yeah.
So this was normal. At first, all of it was going great. Sylvia and Jenny were helping with the housework and chores. They were treated fairly in the house and attended church and Sunday school services. Lester's plan was just to have the girls there from July to November of 1965. So just a few months and paying $20 a week. After about 2 weeks, these payments failed to consistently arrive upon the prearranged dates, occasionally arriving 1 or 2 days late. Now, when I read this, I thought to myself, okay, this is before Venmo, PayPal.
Right.
This is before direct deposits or even like
he's got to send this via snail mail from wherever he is, and I'm sure he gets paid on certain days.
Especially with the carnival, they pay when
so you get it on time if my carnival is only 1 day travel away, but if I'm 3 states away, it takes 3 days to get to you, so it's 2 days late.
And so that kind of bothered me, like reading that part, like to think, okay, so she's pissed because it's 1 or 2 days late. Yeah, that is irritating. But again, if he
hasn't missed one.
No.
Relax, Gertrude.
So
God.
Gertrude started venting her frustration at this fact by beating their bare buttocks with various implements, such as a 1/4 thick paddle, making statements such as, well, I took care of you 2 little bitches for a week for nothing. On one occasion in late August, both girls were beaten approximately 15 times on the back with the paddle after Paula accused the sisters of eating too much food. Now, this is Stephanie's older sister, the oldest sister. She accused the sisters of eating too much food at a church supper the household children attended.
So then
Paula ran home and
she accused them of that, and then Gertrude beat them.
Now, also, remember this. There's always one of Gertrude's children ready to narc on them. Like, as you listen to the story. Just, Gertrude, it seems, never leaves the house, except to go to church. But Gertrude knows everything.
And Gertrude has a beaten paddle? Like, what kind of paddle? Like, it's a paddle for beaten? Like in Dazed and Confused?
Yep, I was just going to say, like in Dazed and Confused, she's got one of her paddles, to haze the kids. So, by mid-August...
Screw Paula, too.
Right?
Sorry, I just, I keep reflecting on everything you've said, and I keep getting more and more angry.
Wait till you hear... Wait till you hear what happens to Paula. But anyways, back up. By mid-August, Gertrude had began to focus her abuse centered on Sylvia. Gertrude's oldest daughter, Stephanie, Sylvia's friend, remember that?
Yeah.
Was said to be jealous of of Sylvia's appearance, and Stephanie thought she was pretty and getting more attention than Stephanie. So she thought Sylvia was getting more attention than her.
So your typical catty junior high bitch.
Yep. So Stephanie would help Gertrude. So Stephanie decided, okay, well, I'm going to help Gertrude torture her. One day, Sylvia came home from school and was talking to her sister Jenny about how she had a boyfriend at school. This upset Stephanie when she was listening, or should I say, lurking in the corner of the conversation, between the conversation of the sisters.
Which you would have to do because you're living in a house with 10 people.
Right. So, Stephanie comes in and kicks Sylvia in the lower stomach, just in case she was pregnant.
Oh my God.
They don't need babies coming into the house. Gertrude started beating
family.
Gertrude started beating Sylvia for stealing candy when in reality she purchased it. Because remember, Sylvia was out babysitting, helping, all of that. So she would get little bits of money here and there. Gertrude would start denying Sylvia food and was starving her. So Sylvia started collecting recycling so she could turn it in and get money for it. And then she can get food and lunch.
Something to eat? A slice of bread?
So, of course, Gertrude caught her doing this and punished her for it. On another occasion, Sylvia was force-fed a hot dog with condiments on it. And this was after another incident about a boyfriend because they were asking if she was promiscuous. So, Gertrude force-fed her a hot dog with her hands tied. And when they forced it too fast, she threw up the hot dog and they forced her to eat that.
I'm trying to not leave like a long dead air pause here.
But isn't it just...
My face is saying all the things.
How in the heck did they fake being nice to let these children stay with them to then quickly within weeks turn around and torment. Like,
yeah, because this level of torture is like pathological.
Well, the fact that a switch flipped in Gertrude's head to think, and how does,
like, where do you even get the idea for some of these things? Like a paddle, like beating. Okay, well, it's the 1960s. That probably was the most common, form of punishment or whatever. Even though I don't agree with it, but that is probably what was going on. But kicking her in the stomach just in case she's pregnant and force feeding her a hot dog with her hands tied behind her back, like, that is some creative, macabre shit.
So there is not much about Gertrude's youth and growing up. So we don't really know how she was treated as a young girl to trigger this. But I think...
Was she doing this to her own children before these girls moved in?
And it doesn't say. Is that why they lured the girls in too? Because if the focus is taken off of them.
Exactly.
So, Sylvia was falsely accused of spreading rumors at school about the two oldest sisters, Stephanie and Paula. They would then come home and tell Gertrude, because again, Stephanie
they got no problem knocking.
Yeah, they would come home and tell Gertrude this, and Sylvia would get in trouble, telling her that Sylvia is calling them sluts and nasty things. Gertrude is livid, so Stephanie tells her boyfriend. So Stephanie now has a boyfriend, Coy, like the fish, and told him Sylvia is calling her a prostitute. So then, what does Coy do? He goes and beats up Sylvia. That just sounds like a winner of a guy right there to me.
How do all of these people find each other?
I don't know, but it cracks me. I mean, it doesn't crack me up, but it shocks me because it's like, do creeps find creeps? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so he goes and beats up Sylvia and tells others what Sylvia is saying. So now the rumors are going even more. So
because of him.
Yeah. So others start harassing and beating up Sylvia too. One time, Paula was beating Sylvia up so bad she broke her own wrist. Once Paula got a cast on, she uses the cast to beat her up some more with her cast. So,
really don't like Paula.
I don't like Paula. And it didn't look like it was going to let up anytime soon. Stephanie and Paula were telling all their friends at school that Sylvia was still spreading rumors about them and their family.
Has she written to her father at this point? Do we know? Okay, it's coming. I'm sorry.
Nope. So Stephanie and Paula were telling all their friends at school that she was still spreading rumors about their family. They would then have friends over to help them beat up and sexually assault Sylvia. So now we have moved on just from beating to sexually assaulting her. They even set up Sylvia's best friend Anna and then invited Anna over and helped. So they told her best friend Anna that Sylvia was talking crap about her and calling her a slut. So then they invited Anna over to confront her and helped Anna hold Sylvia down while Anna got to beat up Sylvia and teach her a lesson.
I'm real angry.
So this becomes a regular thing. They would take turns holding her down and kicking her, beating her, and putting cigarettes out on her. Sylvia had lots and lots of cigarette burns on her from this. Sylvia was made to strip down in front of the family and the neighborhood kids, and they would insert things into her lower area. Just, sexually assaulting her like it's... Eventually, Gertrude refused to let Sylvia go back to school.
Yeah, because even in the 60s, they're going to be like, why are you covered in cigarette burns?
After Sylvia admitted to stealing a tracksuit at school that she needed for school, and Gertrude refused to get it for her. So Sylvia had to steal it, and Gertrude found it and was livid and beat her for it. So Sylvia and Jenny were afraid to tell anyone about what was going on in the house. They thought it was just make the abuse worse. Like, if people started to investigate, it would make it worse.
And is all this happening to Jenny as well, just kind of to a lesser degree, or no?
No. They are fully focused on Sylvia.
Okay.
That's
interesting too.
So Okay, and Gertrude would also tell them, if you tell anyone, I will kill you. And the girls believed her. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, Gertrude's crazy. So to me, it's like, I would be afraid. From time to time, the Lycan family would come back to visit.
What?
And they didn't notice anything out of the ordinary with the kids, which is really sad and strange. Like, how did they not see the burn marks? When the Lycans were visiting, the beatings would stop. Things would get better. Sylvia and Jenny went to this local park every now and then, and one time they were there, they bumped into their older sister, Diana. And Sylvia told her sister she was hungry. Diana gave her part of her sandwich. Of course, one of Gertrude's kids just happened to be at the park too, and she told Gertrude what she saw. Gertrude punished Sylvia when she got home.
For eating a sandwich?
They choked her, beat her, and threw her into scalding hot water. The hot water was to cleanse her of her sins. On occasion, Sylvia would pass out or faint from the pain. This would piss off Gertrude, and she would bash Sylvia's head against the wall to wake her up. When Jenny and Sylvia ran into Diana weeks later and told her about the abuse, their sister Diana didn't believe them and didn't say anything to anybody. That's kind of, Diana left when they were little. I don't understand why. And maybe Diana was asked when her dad was trying to find a place for the girls to stay. Why didn't she take her sisters in?
Maybe that's why she didn't believe them either. Like, she thought they were trying to come live with her, and she wanted to distance herself from her quote-unquote carny family.
So
I don't know, but that's
fuck
sad. Diana too.
Yeah. A local parent in town called the school and reported that there was a girl in the school who was staying at Gertrude's, and she had burns and sores all over her body.
Thank you.
So
finally,
somebody in the community who
saw,
but she probably was how do I say this? Who she helped or babysat for probably was like, why do you have all these burns?
Yeah.
And so they went over to the investigators, and the school nurse went over to Gertrude's to investigate. Gertrude ended up telling them a lie, that Sylvia ran away for a couple of weeks, and the sores are from poor personal hygiene. Gertrude went on to bad talk Sylvia and tell them how she was such a bad influence on other children in her household. So she would get punished on occasion. So investigators left and made no further case of it. In October, Diana, the girl's older sister, went to visit the girls at Gertrude's house. She knocked on the door, and Gertrude answered, and she refused to let Diana in to see the girls because the Lycan parents, she said, had told Gertrude not to let the girls see Diana.
Lies.
Yep. Due to the continuous kicks and beatings and sexual assault to Sylvia's lower area, she began wetting the bed. This made Gertrude pissed, and she made Sylvia stay in the basement tied up. Sylvia looked so bad, Gertrude didn't want anyone seeing her. She would leave her tied up, naked and starved. There was no bathroom down there, so Sylvia just went whenever and wherever she was tied up. This would piss off Gertrude. I mean, everything seems to piss this bitch off. Everything about Sylvia pissed off Gertrude. When Sylvia would get bathed, Gertrude would tie Sylvia's feet and hands together, and put her in super hot water to clean her. The abuse just kept getting worse and worse and worse. There was no end to it. Gertrude would have, this is what pisses me off, and I think all these little shits should have gotten jail. Gertrude would also have the neighborhood kids come over. They would pay Gertrude 5 cents, and she would let them abuse Sylvia.
Oh my God, you are like...
For 5 cents.
Creating like a little mini serial killer school. What?
They would get to abuse her and sexually assault her for 5 cents. It's just awful. I mean, I don't understand what is wrong with these kids.
God.
And nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. Gertrude's kids would taunt
Are these
Sylvia.
the children of the corn? Like, what is wrong with this community?
Right?
Oh, I'm so
Gertrude's
disgusted.
kids would taunt Sylvia with food and tease her like they were going to give her some, and then they wouldn't. Sylvia was so malnourished, and starving. One time the kids and their boyfriends etched. Oh, she was so malnourished and starving. One time the girls and their boyfriends came down to the basement and etched, "I'm a prostitute and proud," on her stomach. One of the neighborhood boys, Richard, who, remember him, I'll come back to him, but Richard just kept coming over and etching this onto her stomach over and over and over.
Like with a blade? Like etching into her skin.
To brand her. Gertrude would sexually assault Sylvia and tease her that she could never get married because she was branded and ruined. Her body was garbage. Gertrude would say to her over and over. Gertrude was a monster. And again, how did she learn this behavior? So there isn't much on Gertrude's upbringing. So, and she was a daddy's girl, they said. So was her mother like this? So, Gertrude made Sylvia write a letter to her parents that she had run away. Gertrude was doing this to cover her ass.
Yeah.
In the letter, Sylvia tells her family she ran away with a group of boys. She was raped and her body was mutilated and scarred by the group of boys. Gertrude was sick of Sylvia and was going to take her out to the woods and leave her there to starve and die. Sylvia was really, really weak and could barely move already, so Gertrude wasn't afraid of her running off. This letter would be her alibi. It would be Gertrude's alibi.
Right.
That she ran away. On October 25th, Sylvia tried to make an escape when she overheard Sylvia talking about it to the girls. She tried to escape and was caught. They beat her till she passed out. The abuse continued and Sylvia was so weak. The last time Gertrude hit Sylvia in the head and knocked her out, Sylvia quit breathing. They didn't notice it. One of the girls took her and gave her a bath to clean her up and noticed she was not breathing and tried to give her mouth to mouth.
I'm sorry, can I stop you for 1 second here? Okay, so he planned to leave them there from July to November of 1965. So he left them there in July of 1965. Where are we now?
October. So he's almost like 6 days till he was coming to get them. 6 days.
Oh my God.
So let's see. Gertrude hit her. She passed out. The girls put her in the bath to give her a bath. She wasn't breathing. And tried to give her mouth to mouth. Gertrude told the girls, Sylvia was just probably faking it, but told Stephanie's boyfriend, Coy, to go to the local payphone and call 911. When authorities arrived, Gertrude told them Sylvia had run away and this is how she returned. And they were just trying to help her and clean her up. Jenny, Sylvia's sister, was able to get an officer's attention and whisper to him, "Get me out of here and I will tell you everything. I can't do it here." Police took Jenny and she told them everything. And based on Jenny's testimony, they were able to arrest Gertrude, 3 of her children, and 2 of the boyfriends. And eventually 5 neighborhood kids were arrested for causing injury to a person, but then were released to their parents after their statement. So they didn't get in trouble.
Oh my God.
Gertrude denied all wrongdoing except for making Sylvia sleep in the basement for wetting the bed. Because Gertrude didn't want Sylvia wetting the mattress.
Because that was reasonable?
Gertrude would get really agitated when investigators kept digging and asking questions. When an autopsy was done, they found over 150 wounds on Sylvia's body. She was incredibly thin and malnourished. She had cuts, burns, bruises, and severe muscle damage. all of her fingernails, oh, this one creeps me out. All of her fingernails had been bent backwards. She was missing the top layer. Sorry about that noise. My cat wants to partake in this podcast today, so the ball rolling is my deaf cat Coraline. All of her nails are backwards. She was missing the top layer of her skin on her face, neck, chest, and knee.
Is that because of the scalding water?
That's what I was wondering, and I hope it's nothing worse.
How is that not infected?
Thank you.
You know, and like how did she body not just? I'm surprised she survived. I'm surprised both ways. I'm surprised that she survived almost 5 months, and I'm also surprised that they put all of the things you've mentioned, like there was no build up. It doesn't seem like it just went into like really horrible things all the time. Like it escalated so quickly.
So the official cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. So Gertrude, Paula, and Gertrude's son John were going to be tried for first-degree murder. Are we missing somebody? Yes, we are. Stephanie.
And Coy.
But Stephanie, her charges were dropped due to insignificant evidence and agreed to testify against her family. I think she should have rotted in jail since she did as much damage. Plus, she's the one that lured them into the house. Richard and Coy. Richard was the neighbor boy.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
And Coy,
Stephanie's boyfriend.
Yeah, the two boyfriends, and the neighbor boy, were charged with premeditated malice. Gertrude's defense was that she was not responsible for the children because the other children were responsible for them. She was too depressed to take care of them. The trial lasted 17 days, and Gertrude got charged with first-degree murder. John, Richard, and Coy got convicted of manslaughter. Paula and Gertrude got convicted to life in prison. Later on, Paula's charge got changed to manslaughter. And her sentence was reduced from 2 to 24 years. She would only serve 3 years in prison, and then she was let out. Gertrude. Oh, excuse me, Paula. Paula, yeah, her sentence was reduced to 2 to 24 years, and she would only serve 3 years in prison, and then she was let out. Coy and John, they were sentenced to 18 months at a juvenile detention facility because they were not 18. Richard would have a mental breakdown once the reality of all the crimes he had done and punishment had kicked in, and died at 21 from lung cancer. And that was the neighbor boy who was etching in her stomach. Coy was in and out of prison his whole life and died at 56 years old due to a heart attack. Gertrude went to a retrial, and she was still convicted of first-degree murder, but was sentenced to 18 to life. She was a model prisoner, they said. She worked in the sewing room, and the other inmates called her mom. How come she wasn't nice to her own family? I mean, her parole came up in 1985, and she got out, and she changed her name to Nadine von Fossen.
Wasn't that was a name at the beginning of this? Because you said it sounds like Von Trapp.
Yes, that was her father's name.
That was her father's
name. Her father's,
So she went back to her maiden name.
She went back to her maiden name.
Okay.
And she was released from prison. Now, when this was going on, Sylvia and Jenny's family were in the court. They got over 40,000 people to petition not to let her out. Signatures. And they were there like, no, keep her in. And they still released her, and she moved to a small town in Iowa and lived there for 5 years, and then died of lung cancer in 1990. Paula was also eventually released and moved to Iowa to be with her mom.
No, stay out. No.
Oh, and this gets great. Paula also changed her name and became a teacher. Then,
working with children.
Then the school district figured it out, and someone gave a tip, which I bet it was one of Jenny or Sylvia's family members who kept a tab on them, and discovered her past, and she was fired. John, the brother, changed his name to John Blake and worked several jobs, and then wait for it, he became a minister. He admitted to all he did and admits he deserved a harder sentence. So he gets out of jail.
And says, I should probably still be in jail.
And it's like, I'm a minister now. I'm sorry. Man, they really should have gave me a bigger sentence. And I just... Sylvia's sister went on to get married and have children. She said she never blamed her parents. They were just trying to make ends meet and doing the best they could at that time.
How could they have known?
Yeah.
How could you have known that you were leaving your children in a house of torture?
But also,
she'd spent the night there a bunch of times.
That was her friend. Also, carnival workers, it's that whole, it takes a village to raise a family.
Yeah.
So in their mind, this is how things worked. In 2001 in Indianapolis, a monument was erected in Sylvia's honor. Like all of that. There is multiple online stories about Gertrude and Sylvia and all of this. And Hollywood made a movie, An American Crime, with some pretty well-known actors in there. I have not watched it.
I haven't seen that.
But I think I'm going to be watching it. But it's sad. Here is this young girl who was taken in by a lady, and because her payments came in a day or two. Now, here's my thing. Would Gertrude still have beat her even if the payments had come in on time? Yes. And was it because Stephanie and Paula were like, she's prettier than us?
That couldn't have been all of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It just...
Girls are
mean.
Kids are catty like that all the time, and people get jealous, but this doesn't happen. The mother facilitated this.
Mm-hmm. And then inviting the neighborhood children over to pay her. I mean, I would like to dig more into it, finding out what happened to those neighborhood kids in the fact of how did they end up? Like, therapy, prison. Like,
well, I mean, this was in the mid-60s, so I'm guessing therapy wasn't a thing for at least, 20, 30 years.
But also, were the neighborhood kids bullied or afraid that if they didn't act, would they thus then be put in that situation?
But how? They had a home to go to.
Yeah.
She couldn't do that to them and then just send them home.
It's true.
She had control over... I don't know, but I feel like I need to go, watch Schitt's Creek or something, because that show it's like the only thing that gives me faith in humanity, and I have no faith. We are a garbage species.
Oh, and this is why
horrible.
Growing up, my kids only went to my best friend's house or their grandma's house or my aunt's house. It was, if it wasn't one of my direct persons, no, because, or I didn't go somewhere, or I didn't do something. It was like, if they went to, they went to slumber parties and stuff like that, but I was very meet the parents, and even then, it's like, everybody can put on this. Anyways, Gertrude can rot in hell. I hope, wherever she ended up in the afterlife, that she is being, burned with cigarettes and scalding hot water and being sexually assaulted with items from around wherever she is. I mean, and that's horrible to say about somebody, but she tortured and ruined a young girl's life. Literally.
It took her life.
Yeah.
Luckily, she didn't ruin the sister's life. The sister was able to move forward and have a life, but she ruined all of her children's
Now remember,
life.
Gertrude was 4'6" and 100 pounds. So she had some force anger coming.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So,
okay.
With that being said, I'm sorry to leave such a cloud, but
I think my next one's a fun one.
I hope so, because holy crap. So I just want to say a couple of shout outs to 12 Vultures Oddity Shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's talk about something good here. I visited there a little while ago, and the shop curator was amazing. And if you like stone skulls and antique medical equipment, but just amazing. Being a recovering Catholic, it was a lot of statues and stuff. It was just really cool. But awesome. Great shop. Small business. Of course, By the Spoonful in McGregor for our coffee today. And then the Backwoods in McGregor, Iowa, they have been letting us put flyers there, and they have some of the best delicious French fries I have ever had. But also, are you guys part of our coven? Have you licked? Oh my God.
I don't know. Things got real weird there for a second, Candy.
Please don't lick. Have you clicked? Have you liked and clicked? I love how I just made like and click into lick. Have you liked, clicked, and shared our page? Make sure to hit the tab button wherever you listen to your podcast so you're notified when a new episode drops, so you keep in the loop. Also, don't forget we have merch, and check out our website at cornfieldcoven.podbean.com.
It's right.
And if you feel intrigued, just lick the button too. But most of all, thank you for listening today, and I hope you all stay safe and warm and happy.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye, witches.